We will be making a basic MOBA / League of Legends style health bar. Let's start with a cube game object, which we will put the health bar onto. This cube represents whatever object in your own project you wish to put a health bar on. Let's click the rotation and rotate a little in the y-axis for some perspective. Under the cube, let's create a new empty game object and name it health bar. Create a new folder called prefabs and drag our health bar object inside to create a reusable prefab. Double click this prefab to edit it. Create a new canvas under our object. Set it to world space, this is very important, and reset the transform. Let's set the width to 1000 and the height to 100. Under our canvas, create a new UI slider. In the slider transform, click on this box, then hold Alt plus Shift and click the bottom right box. This will make the slider always the same size as the canvas. Let's do the same for fill area and background area. Cool, now let's set the fill to a deep red color and the background to a soft red. Okay, this is clearly too big. Back on our canvas, let's change the scale. .005 for the X and 0.003 for the Y looks good. Click the back arrow to exit the prefab, and back in our scene, let's set the health bar local position Y to 1 so it sits above our cube. Back in our prefab, let's create a new empty game object, call it indicators. Under the indicators game object, let's create a UI image. Let's set the width to 10 and the height to 50. In our indicators game object, let's add a new component, horizontal layout group, and set the child alignment to upper right. Cool, let's copy this image a bunch of times. Make sure to reorder them correctly. Let's make 30 for this example, but you can make as many as you need. This number will make sense soon. Set the indicators game object to stretch out, hold Alt plus Shift and click this box. Let's select all the images and set the color to black. Cool, looking good already. Create a new folder called scripts. And let's make a new C# script called health bar. Double click to edit. Let's delete the update method, we don't need it for a basic health bar. We need some public floats for the current health, max health, and our increment health. Create a new public function to update our current health. It takes in a float argument, which will be our new current health. Use this .current health to refer to the current health float that belongs to this script, and set it to the new current health. Now we want to make sure that our current health can never exceed our max health. We will use mathfmin to grab the smallest value between the new current health and our max health. This means if the new current health is higher than our max health, our current health belonging to the script will be set to our max health. Let's make a similar function to update our max health. It takes in a float argument for our new max health. Again, use this dot to refer to the max health belonging to the script and set it to the new max health. Now back in our indicators game object, we have 30 images total and I want each increment to represent 100 health. So our absolute maximum the max health can be set to must be 3000. You can play around with this as you need by creating more or less images or changing the increment value. So let's grab the minimum between the new max health and 3000. Now let's import Unity Engine UI so that we can control our slider from the script. We need a public reference to our health bar slider. Now let's create a new function to update our slider based on our health. We can set this one to private, as outside objects and scripts shouldn't be calling this function directly. Our health bar script will decide when it wants to call it. Set the slider max value to our max health and the slider value to our current health. Let's call this function on start. Next, we need a public list of game objects. We are going to use this list to control the indicator images we created earlier. Now we need a function to update the indicator images to be what we want. Again, this will be private because the health bar script should decide when to do this. We also need a list of images. These two lists will now refer to the same set of objects, one for the game object itself and one for the image component on it. We need to decide the number of indicator images we want to show. We can decide this based on the max health and the increment health, which I will set to 100. So each indicator bar on our health bar will represent 100 hit points. We need to make sure to floor this to grab the minimum integer, because for example 899 health should provide us with 8 indicators, not 9. So use mathf floor and cast it to an int. Let's set up a for loop to go over our lists. We're not going to use a for each loop here as we want to interact with multiple lists. The loop will go to the size of our indicators list, and our indicators image list should be the exact same size. Okay, so if our index is at less than our desired number of indicators, we want to show the indicator, otherwise we want to hide it. Let's set the indicator game object to active by interacting with the indicators list. And set it to inactive in the else by providing false to the setActive function. Now I don't want to see the indicator at the very end of my health bar, but I do need the indicator game object active so that it takes up space in our horizontal layout group so we can get the desired spacing of our indicators. We can achieve this by interacting with our indicators image list and setting enabled to false. Make sure to enable the images of everything before our last spot so that we can resize the health bar freely. Make sure to call this on start. Let's attach our script to our health bar prefab by dragging it on. You can also click add component and search for it. I want to start with 1000 max health, 500 current health, and 100 as the increment health. We have 30 indicator images, so let's set the list size to 30 and drag the objects inside in order. You can just drag the game objects directly inside the image list as well, and it will pick up the image component on the object. Alright, let's hit play. Cool, it looks good. Our indicators are showing 500 out of 1000 health. Let's reset the rotation so we can see it head on, and I do notice a slight offset here. In our prefab, set the fill under the fill area to stretch out to the size of fill area. Again, Alt plus Shift and click the bottom right square. Cool, looking good. Let's make sure we update the indicators whenever we update the max health. The rest of this video will go over an example of how you can interact with the health bar. I'm going to make a canvas and add some buttons to represent different interactions. Here are my buttons for different example interactions. I'll make a new script called SumController to represent something that would interact with the health bar in your project. Let's make a function to increase our current health. We will need a reference to the health bar script so we can talk to it. Let's increase the current health by 50. We can add checks out here as well to limit the value. Copy this to make a similar function for going down in current health. This time we want the max between the new value and 0, so we can't go negative. Similar function for gaining max health. I'm going to increment by 100. And we want to hit a limit as well for the max health. We want to limit to 3000 because we only have 30 images, and each indicator represents 100 health. Similar function to go down in max health. Let's make sure the max health can't fall below 200. Make sure to call the update slider when updating health. Let's add SumController to this canvas and set the buttons to call their respective functions. Let's hit play. Let's take some health away. Let's gain some health. Watch the health bar move up and down. Looks very good. Let's take away some max health. Watch it hit the 200 minimum, and we can still give health, and it drops down by 50 each time. Let's gain some max health and watch the indicators show up. They all spread out evenly. And we can still gain and take away health here, and watch the health bar move up and down. That's it for this video. Good luck implementing this in your own projects.